Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Monday Night Must See TV with the Hudson Valley Squares. It is end of the year, top 10 albums of the year. Of course, you know we cover hard rock and metal mostly on this channel, so this is going to be our top 10 hard rock and metal releases of 2021. We've got in the house, got a smaller crew today. We got Butch Jones, we got Steve Keeler, and we got Ryan Scow. Before we get started, I do want to wish a happy belated 28th birthday party to a longtime viewer of ours, Connor Donegan. Connor, happy birthday, my friend. Hope you celebrate.
Happy birthday.
Have a good time and have a good one. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you're tuning in tonight. So enjoy your day, Connor. And so now on to some business. So we've each picked out our 10 favorites out of, I'm sure all of us have listened to a lot. For those of you who've tuned in over the last couple of days, I did give you my top 30 of the year. I've whittled down my top 10 hard rock and metal. I took the prog ones out for the most part. So we're going to go Butch, Steve, Ryan, and myself starting at number 10. We're going to work our way around and around so we get to our number one. So with that being said, Mr. Edmonton, what do you got for number 10?
Well, right out of the gate, I'm pulling a Pardo, and I'm having number 10 is, I have to split this, so I have a tie for number 10. Two completely opposite, polar opposite bands, without a doubt. But I love both bands and both albums, no matter what. So tied for number 10, I have the Night Flight Orchestra, Aromantic 2. I love these Swedes. Everything that they do is just stellar. Love it. Great record. And then tied with that is Flotsam and Jetson's Blood in the Water. Like I said, two completely opposite records, both tremendous. And like I said earlier in the week, is Monday. Last week, I guess, albums of the year, and Ken Mary, the drummer that's now in Flotsam, the last two records, has completely changed that band. He has made them legitimate beyond compare. Ken Mary is a phenomenal drummer, and I've loved him. I remember him in Fifth Angel, but I loved him very, very much. My favorite Alice Cooper record, Raise Your Fist and Yell. He destroys on that record, and 30 plus years later, he's completely, as far as I'm concerned, the metal MVP of the year on that record, and the Flotsam and Jetson record. So those are my tied for 10, Flotsam and Jetson and the Night Flight Orchestra.
There you go. And for those of you watching, saw my top 30. Flotsam was also in my top 20 from this year. Great record. I did not hear the Night Flight Orchestra album, and I know a lot of people have been talking about that one. So that's one of those, got to catch up in January on what I missed this year, which happens every year. So
that's the nice thing about these lists. You go back and check out everything everybody else lists, and you make catch up everything you missed out on.
And then oh shit, I fucking forgot that one. God damn it.
It always happens. And you know what's funny? Whenever you do these like best of the year lists, it's like you always get folks who are like, I can't believe you didn't include such and such. It was one of the best albums of the year. And I think folks tend to forget like how many things get released each and every year. I mean, I know myself personally. I mean, I get like probably hundreds of stuff that comes across my desk that I have to listen to and review and try to let sink in. And you can't hear it all. There's no way you can. So it's hard. Like, so, if folks don't hear what their favorites are, doesn't mean we don't like them. In many cases, maybe we just never got to it. It's hard to
heard it.
It's really hard to get to everything. It's almost.
And there's only 4 of us tonight, so we don't have the big group of like pick. Oh yeah, that guy had that one. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
I look back on some of these lists where like you look at a list from like 5-6 years ago, and you're like, holy, and then you go back and you could totally rearrange some of that. Like, yeah, I still listen to that one today. Holy shit, I haven't touched those albums at all, and you'll look at something from 6 years ago sometimes like that. That's what I think. But
and sometimes even from the last year, right? You look at something that finished in your top 5 last year, and you're like, wow, I loved it when it first came out, but man, I haven't revisited that since. And it happens all the time.
There's so much new stuff to listen to too. Sometimes it's hard, and you try to keep up on the classics. But I guess is it my turn next?
Yep.
I'm gonna pull a Butch Jones and a Pete Pardo. I'm gonna give you 2. One was gonna be an honorable mention, but I was just listening to this recently. It's the 13th studio album from Sweden's Hypocrisy, and I got some props tonight. And pretty long awaited album. Speaks a lot about hypocrisy. Has always talked about a lot of aliens and conspiracy stuff, and it holds true to this album. Songs like Chemical Whore, Dead World, Children of the Gray, Another Day, and They Will Arrive. Some of the tracks that I would pick out from on this album. It's another one that recently just came out, so I haven't had a whole year to listen to it. It came out, I think, in November. Number 10, Chapter, 15th studio from the Death Metal Kings, Cannibal Corpse, with Violence Imagine. Complemented by the addition of Eric Ratain, the producer, of course, of the album, now playing lead guitar. Some of the tracks: Murderous Rampage, Inhumane Harvest, and Condemned. I can't even talk tonight. Hopefully my microphone's working to hear me stutter.
Steve's drinking tonight, everybody.
Condemnation, Contagion, and there it is. That's my number 10, and it's the Gatefold, and here are the boys from Buffalo originally, now Tampa, and doesn't disappoint, and it's a good brutal death metal to put on once in a while. It's well produced, it sounds great, and gets you in a good mood if you put it on, I say.
So Steve got a new computer, so he's got the audio thing taken care of, except when he puts the album in front of the microphone.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Well,
hold it line. Yeah, 'cause as soon as you put it in front, you're cut off completely.
I gotta hold the album up here.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right. Oh well, I'm not in the NBC studios or anything right now.
Yeah, the Hypocrisy that came out like what, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, it's brand new. I haven't even heard it yet.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either.
Yeah, that's relatively and a lot of stuff, the vinyl doesn't come out till weeks later, so I don't really I really listen to vinyl the most, and I sit in this room and dissect stuff, and a lot of stuff. There's stuff, a couple things in my pile that the vinyl's not even out yet. So.
Wow, the vinyl is backed up. It's brutal. Like all the plants are like backed up into 5.
Like everything else in the world right now. Yeah. Shit show.
That's really the long and short of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I somehow, even though that's true, and there's a lot of albums that came out kind of late in the year that you can only buy on CD now for that reason. They're like, wow, the vinyl will come out a year from now, But I actually got all these on vinyl except for one, and just because I haven't bought it yet. So I printed these out because there's one band in here that I have no idea how to pronounce, but we'll get to that. My first choice, my number 10, is from Norway. It is a thrash metal band. It is the only thrash album in my list, so it's my favorite thrash album from the year. The band's called Necromantheon. Here's a little Necromantheon. The album is called Visions of Trismegistos, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Not the new Exodus or anything, normal.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with thrash metal. A lot of genres, like black metal, death metal, prog, regular hard rock, they continue to grow and expand. People try new things. But to me, thrash metal is kind of, it's one thing in the 80s, and it never really evolved beyond that. Like pure thrash metal. People do different things with thrash metal, that's fine. But if you're talking straight up like 1985 thrash metal, it's odd in time to me, which is fine. I don't mind that. So if you're gonna put out a new thrash album now, it's not really how much you can innovate, it's just how well you can nail that sound. And it's not easy, because a lot of stuff I hear, it's like, that sounds like Bonded by Blood, like the Wish.com version of it. I don't need to hear that. So this one,
.com version.
This is that's true though. It's like, this kind of sounds like, Dark Angel, but who cares? But this is their third album. These guys, it's quite a few years since their last one, so they take their time. It's got a pretty insane album cover there. This is just straight up Dark Angel, Slayer, Creator, Destructions, like that kind of thrash metal. Really fast, double kicks all the way, really, really fast, like ripping lead guitar. The vocals kind of have a almost like a little shouty. It's kind of hard to describe them. It's I say just go on YouTube and check it out, because I can't really think of a lot of guys this dude the vocalist sounds like. But the riffing is just nonstop. There's no slow parts. There's no ballads. There's no mid-piece songs. Like, they don't have their Room the Bell Tolls, which is fine. I like that stuff. But these guys don't fuck around with that. This is just accelerated to the floor. Every song, fast as fuck. Great thrash metal, brutal. Good for like circle pits. It's just, just that super intense thrash. And the songs are memorable. They get stuck in your head. All these newer thrash bands, they kind of string a bunch of riffs together. 5 minutes later, you're like, I don't even remember the song anymore, which I think is one of the biggest problems with them. They can, anybody can string a bunch of riffs, but to write a really memorable song, And these guys do. This is good stuff. Really, really good lead guitar too. These guys, and you can see them on the back, all denim and leather, looking real fucking serious. You're not fucking around. Yeah. So my first one's Necromantheon from Norway. There's actually a bunch of good Norwegian thrash bands these days. Kind of like the center of the world right now when it comes to like good modern thrash. These guys to me are the top of the heap. Really, really, really good album. So if you like old school thrash, if you like Darkest Descends, Rain and Blood, Pleasure to Kill, that kind of stuff, check this out. Necromantheon. That's number 10.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff happening in Norway in general. Even like on the prog side, there's a lot of good prog bands coming out of Norway right now. Yeah, so
something
about that Scandinavian area of the world, man. I don't know.
It is something in the water, man.
In the water over there, Sweden and Norway and Finland, and yeah, they got it going. All right, my number 10. If you had asked me like when this first came out, if this would have made my top 10, I might have been pretty skeptical. But over time, and I'm sure at least two of you are not going to agree with this, the other one will, but that's fine. I've grown to like this, and I think it's pretty strong, actually. It's a little different for them, but I think everything they've been doing for the last 20 years has been a little different. So I'm going to go Senjutsu by Iron Maiden. Double album set. I know it's kind of long. I know Butch hates it. I know Steve's been trying, but it's not happening. But I like it. Just like
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Oh, no?
No, I don't.
You don't love it, right? But yeah,
I don't love it, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's good. It's solid. It's enjoyable. The songs are pretty memorable. I think you gotta give it some time. I don't know. It took me like 4 or 5 listens before I was kind of like, yeah, all right, this is starting to click. And I did a bunch of it. I really dig a lot, and it's where they are these days, and I don't have an issue with that. So it just squeaked into my number 10, Senjutsu by Iron Maiden.
Someone just needs to take Steve Harris and lock him in a room where he can't get out and listen to Killer's Number the Beast and Peace of Mind and say, remember this? Okay, go.
I tell you,
like I have amnesia and I don't remember how we put these together.
Exactly.
I gave it another shot last night because I said, well, I'm sitting in here and I'm just going through all this stuff and knew it was time to get down and figure what stuff is. But first 5 or 6, maybe 5 songs I really like, and then I don't know. I think it's just why couldn't it have just been like for an hour long? Why does it have to be?
It's tough to listen to the whole thing at once. It's a very long album.
And that's what I tried doing over the summer. It's like, I could drive to like a stock car race in South Jersey and not listen to the whole album yet. That's how long it takes.
It's like a very long album.
Yeah,
30 minutes.
And I knew Butch. Chris Allo really loved it on my channel. He really gave it high ratings. Chris was even worse than Butch would have loved Chris's description of it. But
I don't hate it at all. I like it, but it's just it's long-winded for long-winded's sake. That's what I don't like. You take Rhymer the Ancient Mariner, the probably the greatest long song that they've ever written. And you are not bored through 13 minutes of it. You're like, this is fucking fabulous. It starts someplace, it has all the sound effects, it takes you someplace, and then it ends. The stuff that they write now is like, let's write a long song. What do we need to make it long? So, well, let's write a 20-minute song. It's like they're trying too hard to write a long song for the sake of it. Like you were saying, Steve, you'll take one of those songs in the first 5 minutes of it, they haven't done anything. And that's 5 minutes. It's like, why are you wasting 5 minutes worth of leading up to something that actually really doesn't go anywhere? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they overdo it with the long intros. Because you don't really need them. And you need 3 songs on an album that have the whole do.
Get to the fucking point.
Yeah.
That's what they do. It's pretty interesting.
Right? I'll agree with that. Yeah. And I don't mind the long songs, but ever since the X Factor, Steve's like, wow, I can slap a 3-minute intro on a 7-minute song. And he does it a lot.
Yep. And no one's going to tell him that he can't. And that's the problem. If someone said to him,
tell him nothing.
Right? If someone said, hey, man, what can we cut this down a little bit? But no one's going to tell him that.
Iron Maiden your band? No, it's my. It's true, though. It's true. He does.
Yeah, I got yelled at by people on the internet last night, going like, "Oh my god, that album's awful." Like a couple of people defended it, but
yeah.
People are mixed on it, just like all their stuff.
It's Maiden, and the majority give them a pass because it's Maiden, and that's what I don't understand.
The thing.
If it's not great, it's not great. It's okay.
And it's no firepower by Judas Priest.
Exactly. Thank you.
Or
Exactly.
KK's Priest, even. They give you what you know, kind of what you want when you know.
Well, I like the KK's Priest album, but I enjoy the Maiden more.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I didn't like that KK's Priest.
Yeah.
Anyway, Butch, on to your number 9.
All right, go ahead.
Let's move on.
Right? Move forward.
Number 9, there were 2 albums that are on this list that I thought that were my most anticipated albums of the year. And I thought they were both going to be fighting for my number 1. You know, initially before they came out, I'm like, okay, I already know that this is going to be my number 1. And this one let me down a little bit, but it's still number 9. And if they had taken some of the filler out and just gave me some other songs instead of the musical interludes, I think this could have been number 1, but they didn't. So it's number 9, Gojira, Fortitude.
Okay.
I love Gojira. You know, I'm exaggerating that because I don't even know how many songs they have that are the filler, but it seems like there's like 3 or 4 of a 9-track record, wherever. I don't even know how many songs are on the record, but there's a lot of, it seems to me that there's a bunch of filler stuff that takes you away from, which could have been 2 or 3 or 4 other great Gojira songs that they had to put these things in, and it takes up time. And I wish they hadn't done that. But yeah, I anticipated this being my absolute number 1 album of the year, hands down. I was so excited when I finally heard it, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good," and it's kind of great for the actual songs. But yeah, I was disappointed, and it's way down on my list, and it's number 9.
Well, I mean, number 9 is still pretty good, and
It's still up there because it's still.
I know a lot of people that it was one of their favorites of the year, and I really liked them a lot. I just never got around to listening to it. I have it in my cart to get next time I place an order.
Oh, really? You didn't listen to it yet?
No, I haven't gotten around. I mean, there's just so many that just
you'll see what I mean. It's like, oh, it's a great song, and then what's this interlude? Then what's this going here? And then another song, and then another thing. It's like if you just kind of took those out and just gave me just shredded that whole record. Oh, what could have been. But it's good for what it is, though.
Cool. I look forward to
it. All right. So I was just complaining about long records by a legendary band called Iron Maiden. So my next pick. Were you done, Butch? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done. That's it. I'm getting to the point.
Okay. So my next album is the 8th studio album from Atlanta, Georgia, Mastodon, and Hushed and Grim. Clocks in at over 86 minutes. It's another album. I really like the first album, the first vinyl here, but it's just super long. It suffers from the same thing that Iron Maiden did, but I like it enough where I've been listening to it a lot on headphones, and figured I would include it on my list. And I guess you can see the cover, gatefold sleeve. I've liked this band for many years. They haven't disappointed me much, and here's their latest release. It came out in 2021, Mastodon. Tracks I dig off it is Sickle and Peace, The Beast, Savage Lands, which is on the second half of it. But another one is like, you could have made 2 albums, guys. Put one out next year,
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about that in a bit. I like it a lot, but I agree with you. I think on the second disc, probably if they would have trimmed like 2 songs, made it a single or something, a little tighter, but still, what's great on it is really great.
I agree.
Yeah.
I could just never give that band a chance after one of the guys said something about Rob Halford and Priest not being metal. That was really the end of it for me.
And that was recent too. That was like in the last couple of years.
It was the last couple of years. It's like, how could really? If it wasn't for a Priest, you wouldn't be here. So how can you?
Yeah, I agree with that, Butch.
But I will give him credit.
Some of those guys have a reputation. Some of those guys got a reputation for just being like, taking the piss, as it were. Was he definitely being serious about that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
The article I read, it came across really, really serious, kind of putting them down.
I remember.
I know, like the person you're talking about, he has had a history of like alcohol abuse, and
he might have been drunk.
He's gone on record saying that he has said and done some pretty stupid things over the years, and I think
there's always that.
Get that under control. So I mean, yeah, it's no excuse, but it's like you have to wonder, right? So
I will say that I do love that they do the Thin Lizzy harmony guitar thing. They do that well. I give them credit for that.
I mean, they're great musicians. They really are. Yeah.
I remember catching them when they were first starting out. Juan got them to play the Loft at the Chance.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was
That
like
was a good show.
last minute thing. That guy Juan that disappeared. They used to book shows up there.
Holy advantage. That was a good show. Though. I remember that was a long.
You were there for that one?
It was like
It was like when they
2001 or
first
2002.
started, and it was solid seeing them up there. But after that, they were like on the road with Slayer or
Yep.
something.
Well,
You know?
they blew up. Yep.
Yep.
All right, so my number 9 going to one of my favorite cities, Montreal, Canada. It's not Voivod, although Voivod have a new album coming out next year, which I'm looking forward to. But this is one of my number 9, number 8 are like traditional metal picks I got here. So number 9, it's a band called Starlight Ritual. The album's called
That
Sealed
one's
in
easy.
Starlight.
Butch can read
This
that
one didn't
one.
really need a. This one didn't really need a. Some of them might need it, but this is pretty simple. But yeah, Starlight Ritual is the name of the band.
I
Here's
love
the
Ryan's
album.
show and tell.
It's on
That-
one of my
that is
favorite.
classic.
Here we go. Yeah, it's on one of my favorite labels, A Temple of Mystery. So there's I mean, I don't know how much you guys follow. Obviously, there's a lot of bands out now that play kind of like classic 80s metal, like Dio, Ozzy, Priest, Maiden, like that style.
Mhm.
Some of them are really good. A lot of it's just kind of like, you would have been an also ran band in 1985, just you don't have the songs. But these guys fucking kill it. The singer
nice
does
cover.
remind me a lot of Dio. Yeah, it's got a cool cover.
Yeah.
Very Conan-esque. They actually have a song about Conan called "The Riddle of Steel," which is a
Oh.
really, really cool song. Yeah, it even works in the great line from False to Doom. What is steel compared to the hand that wields it? Imagine like Dio singing that in like that high falsetto. So it's just a great album. Marauders, One for the Road, Sealed in Starlight. Every song on this. This is like a perfect like driving album. Like early '80s Priest in that way. You put it on before you know it, you're getting a speeding ticket. It has that kind of feel to it. So good, solid production, but not like overproduced in a way. It's like almost like I really prefer when bands. It's almost like you're kind of listening to them jam in a rehearsal room. It's still got a little rawness, like they're playing live. I prefer that sound. I know that versus like the more like you can hear each drum like kick precisely. I kind of prefer the raw sound a little bit. So it's just kind of like meet you halfway in the middle. It's a little raw, but there's a nice solid production. Everything's real audible. So my number 9 is a Starlight Ritual from Montreal, Canada. Great album, great vocals, great lead guitar, just like good, high intensity classic heavy metal. I'm going with this one.
Excellent.
Yeah, I can second that. That's really good. And
Yeah.
it's a little on the raw side, but they sound like a band that have been playing together for a long time. Like the songs are really tight, really well crafted. They definitely sound like professional. They don't sound like a new band at all, which I think is
and it's their first album too. They are a pretty new band, but yeah, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't sound like that. They sound really well rehearsed. Every song on here, there's no throwaway tracks, there's no filler. Man, so if I had to recommend one song from this, I'd say the first actual track, Marauders. Go check that out. Bandcamp, Spotify, YouTube, whatever. That doesn't, that should just have you like, yeah, this fucking rules. It has that feel to it, really good stuff. So that is my number 9.
Sounds like what you're describing reminds me of the band from Salt Lake City, Visigoth, a little bit, who I've gotten into the last few years. That style.
It's not far from that. I like these guys a lot more, but it's that sound. Yeah, you would definitely like this.
Yeah, you would get into them, Steve.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
They're not that similar sounding to Visigoth, but they're coming from like a similar place.
Same head.
This was a little different. Yeah.
Swords and dragons and fighting.
Exactly.
Yep.
And dogs washing your hand.
Very. She wants a lot of attention tonight. I don't know what to tell you.
Must be the pink sweater. All right. My number 9 is the latest Nuclear Blast release from Obscura, A Valediction. Really intense, technical, progressive death metal. I love these guys. It's like they've kind of taken the formula of the last couple of Death albums before, Chuck passed away and made it even more progressive and more extreme. So, just absolutely crushing guitar work, dual guitars, amazing solos. The vocals are really well done, in the death metal growl style, great rhythms, and just really, really intricate, well thought out, intelligent songs. I've liked all their releases, and this one is just as good. and it's probably my favorite death metal album of the year. So Obscura A Valediction is my number 9. Back to Butch.
Back to me. Number 8. Sticking with Ryan, staying in Canada. We all know I love Canada. Oilers, even though I have no hockey right now and I'm dying. Spirit Box. It's a band that I've been following the last few years with their singles and their EP that they had out. They finally put out their first debut full-length record called Eternal Blue. I love this band. I've turned some friends of mine onto them and not said anything about them, just kind of sent them a link for a song, and then they get back to me. You didn't tell me a girl was singing, which you wouldn't even really know. It's it's not the quote unquote chick singer kind of thing. They're such a great band. I love them a lot. From BC, Western Canada. I definitely think they are one of the metal bands of the modern metal stuff to really keep an eye on. The record is complete quality. It is just a great sounding record, great songs, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Courtney's vocals are great. I don't even know how to even try to describe it. It's just modern metal is what I always say, because she has some Cookie Monster stuff in there, but minimum. She sings a lot of the stuff. I just love them. If you love the genty kind of stuff, like a Periphery or Architects and stuff like that, you will completely get Spirit Box. But quality band that deserves a lot of recognition. So yeah, without a doubt, that's my number 8.
Cool.
All right, back to me, huh?
Yep.
For my number 8, we're going off to Germany. Germany is power metal, symphonic in a way too. I call them phenoms. Powerwolf with their 8th studio album, The Call of the Wild, and totally catchy vocals, choruses, led by vocalist and frontman Attila Dorn. Big theatrical stage show. I don't believe they've ever been to the United States. They played headline huge festivals in Europe, South America, and that could be compared, I guess, to Sabaton musically, but the subject matters aren't war and tanks and battle. It's more of like religion and taboo and sex and vampires and stuff like that. Some of the tracks I'd recommend off it are Faster Than the Flame, Barkalok, Reverend of Rats, the Revenant of Rats, and anyhow, here they are, and they're the guys, and I know Rich Cantino that's on the channel likes these guys a lot also.
Stop talking in the back of the album.
I'm talking to the back of the album.
Yeah, Rich.
Hey, I'm not professional here, and I'm trying to show props.
Show the prop and then talk.
Show the prop and talk at the same time.
No, don't. It's separate.
Like that, but anyhow. Al sounds like he's underwater tonight. So. A little underwater sometimes. Cal's coming over.
Don't move the mic.
And we're not talking about Faith No More with Underwater Love, right?
No.
So that's Powerwolf was my pick for. I got turned onto them a few years ago, and I've been digging them a lot, whatever they put out.
Yeah, they're starting to get pretty popular. A lot of people talking about them.
Big, and I don't know, if they'll ever come over here. God knows what's going on in the world. But.
They've never played one of those Atlanta prog power things.
No,
not even that, huh? Wow.
They were in Mexico recently. There was a big metal fest in Mexico with a lot of bands, death metal and whatever, and they were part of that, but never been here in the States. I think they've been on the 20,000 tons of metal, or 70,000 tons of metal, rather. I think that's about
People
it.
in Central America love their power metal, but unfortunately,
Yes, they do.
Getting them here is really difficult.
It's a limited audience there, although they probably do well if they came here.
Well, I mean, yeah, they probably would. Sabaton has gotten big here, selling out. It sold at PlayStation Theater for months in advance, but yeah. Definitely South Americans love that real metal stuff, With Maiden, of course, going right down to that.
Oh, that's a special case. Yeah, Maiden's like their own universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, speaking of power metal, I'm going to pick one of my favorite American power metal bands. Been around for quite a while, pretty underrated because they don't really tour ever. They play shows once in a blue moon, only once every couple of years. The band is Pharaoh. And the album's
Ryan, I love you new props.
Even
like
I
these?
mean,
I
you
mean-
only need to do that if it's like weird black metal.
Well,
Butch
listen,
can't.
I printed all of them out. I made all of them, so I'm going to use.
Ryan bought a P-Touch. Or he got one for Christmas.
I'm going to use it. Yeah, so the band's Pharaoh.
As the money comes in after the show from Brother, right?
Yeah, so you owe me some royalties here, buddy. All right, so Pete mentioned death. So I think obviously most people know before Chuck died, he started a band called Control Denied. They put out one album, and then he passed away, unfortunately, soon after that. Well, the vocalist from that album, a guy by the name of Tim Amiar, or I definitely did say that right. So he now is the singer for this band, Pharaoh. The drummer is a guy by the name of Chris Black, plays in High Spirits. So it's like a hodgepodge of these guys from different bands. They've got 5 albums, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this one I think might be their best. It's the same mold as the other ones. It's just really good classic American heavy metal. The guitarist Matt Johnson, absolutely phenomenal guitarist, great riffs. He does rhythm and lead. His lead is fantastic. His rhythm playing is awesome. Tim's vocals are amazing. I think the best he's done in this band. Really good, catchy sing-along stuff. Yeah, I mean, all 5 of their albums I'd highly recommend. They only put out albums every couple of years. I actually had to look up how long it's been. Last album was 2012, and the album before that was 2008. So it's been a while. So they're not a very active band. And I didn't even know this album was coming out until it pretty much showed up online. I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't know they were doing a new one because they are a very low key band. But yeah, this is really good stuff. And I'll tell a quick story about them. I think when their 3rd album came out, so going back a couple of years ago, it might have been the 2nd album. The 2nd album came out. The drummer Chris, who I'm friends with, sent me a T-shirt. So I went to see, I believe it was the power metal band Rhapsody, played in somewhere in Manhattan. I think it was Gramercy Theater. I'm in the basement of the Gramercy, as you remember, has like a bar down there, a merch area. The guy's like, man, that's a cool shirt. Pharaoh. I'm like, oh, Pharaoh, man, nobody knows this band. They're pretty obscure. You know these guys? I'm like, you should check them out. And blah, blah, blah. I'm running my mouth. He's like, yeah, man, I know them. I'm a guitarist. And when you'll be gone for like 5 minutes, I'll praise in the band. And yeah, I really well. I write all the songs. I'm the guy. So I'm like, well, now I feel like a freaking idiot, but I'll always remember that. I was trying to find that shirt the other day. It's in somewhere, I think, lost when I moved. But yeah, the number 8 choice is Pharaoh, Powers That Be. So if you like classic power metal, heavy metal, it's not pure power metal. It's, kind of splits the difference a little, but really, really good. If you like good guitar playing in that context, absolutely fucking worth checking out. This guy shreds. So I'm going with Pharaoh from number 8.
Yeah, good band. Man, it's been a long time since that last one. I had forgotten all about them. It's like,
yeah, they are. I didn't know they were still around because they're just that kind of band where they'll disappear for years, and then all of a sudden, boop, new album comes out. With no press, no real promo, just kind of pops up. Like they don't have a lot of label support, so it's you blink and you miss it. Unfortunately, a lot of people who like power metal, like power rock, love that band. It's a great band that we're on. Like one of the best American bands in that style. So, but yeah, they're definitely okay.
Good stuff. All right, my number 8, a band I only just recently started getting into very recently. Everybody's talking about this album, and I was like, all right, I got to check it out. But it's the brand new one. I believe this is their 2nd album from the UK's Green Lung, Black Harvest, on Svart Records. These guys,
Oh wow!
Yeah,
You got a cool cover.
yeah, this is really good stuff. These guys, if you can imagine, like Uncle Ass and the Deadbeats, a little more serious, more doomy. That's kind of what these guys are. The vocals are kind of similar. They have that kind of like Beatles-ish kind of like vocal harmony thing going on, but just enormous riffs. It's kind of psychedelic. It's definitely doomy. There's a little bit of stoner stuff going on here. Just these really monstrous. I just love the artwork on the album. It's very kind of like pagan kind of feel throughout the album, but just absolutely kick-ass. Every song is great on here. If you love like old school, like Master of Reality era Black Sabbath type riffing with, like I said, like kind of like that the vocal style like Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats, you'll dig this. Just absolutely great. One of my recent favorites from the last couple of months. So that's my number 8. Back to Butch.
Wow. Number 7, going from Canada, going from British Columbia to Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, I should say. I forget what I want to say Reading, but I don't know if they're from Reading or not, but they're from Pennsylvania. Rivers of Nile.
Yeah, from Reading.
The record, The Work. Holy shit.
Nice.
They're all over. I mean, they cover on this record, they cover the gamut of musical genres. It is an absolute brilliant fucking record. It's heavy. Literally, I mean, there's blast beats in it, and then there's kind of like fusiony jazz kind of stuff. Oh my God, it's the record just, I was talking to someone a couple of weeks ago on Facebook to the butcher shop and stuff, and they were saying like they liked the record before it, which I do as well. And they said that this new one didn't really hit them right away. This one was a sledgehammer across the face to me. I was like, holy shit. So yeah, all I can tell you is just go to YouTube and just bring up Rivers of Nile, The Work, and listen to a couple of songs and judge for yourself. I just think this record is monumental. It really hit me really heavy, man. I think it's a great record. So that's easily my number. So it probably, well, I want to say it probably could have been up higher, but what's coming above it, so maybe not. So, but it's definitely in the top 10. So that's number 7. I love this record a lot. It made a really big impact on me this year.
Really good band. I haven't heard the new one, but their last one was amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm sure this one is just as good, if not better. So
Yep.
Another one I got to get to.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about that album, and I interviewed those guys for Rock Fantasy Files this year, and I tell you, it's all over the place. I got to see them at the Chance once, and they were part of the Summer Slaughter. I mean, they're a band that played with a lot of the death metal, the newer death metal stuff, and I was kind of surprised to see it on Butch list, but it's a really good record for sure.
I didn't know about them then. That's for damn sure.
I had that on my list, but I don't think I had the vinyl for that at all. I know I don't have it here. It'd be in my pile.
Man, it is a good fucking record, man.
All kinds of changes and different parts. Yeah. Excellent. All right, so we're back. We're up to number 7 with me. I'm going to Finland with melodic death metal outfit Omnium Gatherum, and
who is it?
Album Omnium Gatherum. I didn't make a little thing like have that. I figured you could read it, but it's gatefold, and I've gotten to see these guys quite a few times on tour. They won me over. The first time I saw them was in New York City at I think it was Stage 48, and they were opening up for Dark Tranquility. I went with Pete Morano to that show, and since then I've been a big fan. I correspond with them a little bit, and it's just really soaring, like lead guitars, and I mean there's keyboards. It's that total melodic death metal experience, but it's very well produced. I mean, this is a band that's has even done covers of Rush on their album, so it's just a band that I like a lot, and I look forward to it. It came out in November this year, so it's kind of new, and soaring leads, like I said, driving with the unique vocal style of Jukka Alkkonen is the vocal.
I was just going to ask you, what are the vocals like? Because you said melodic death metal, and I'm a huge fan of that.
You would like this, which
yeah.
I think you like those
he
guys.
has clean vocals and he has growl vocals. Yes.
Okay.
It's a mixture. You might check it out. I mean, they've been around. I think what did I say? This is the 8th album by them already, but they've only been coming to the States probably for maybe 5, 6, 7 years. Maybe. I mean, time flies. It might be 10 years that I've seen them come.
Yeah, I think it is, Steve, because I think you and I saw them at Toad's place like a million years ago. They opened up for Dark Tranquility.
Do you think? Wait a minute. They were at Toad's with the Haunted,
Yeah.
and I didn't. And you know what? I probably wasn't aware of them yet. Then I didn't realize I saw them then.
Yeah, because I think I also saw them at BB King's once on another triple bill with a bunch of other.
And they
bands.
have, and this is their symbol. It
Yeah.
isn't like this. They go like, and they come around, they're like, yeah.
Yep.
And every time I see them, they don't have shirts left. I was like, "Ah, you're out of shirts. You don't have any shirts. I'll
They're,
buy
really
this
good.
one."
They're very musical, and they
Yeah.
also their music is pretty challenging and pretty complex.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a very good band.
What's the name of the band again, Steve?
Omnium,
Okay.
Gatherum.
See, don't you wish you had the little fucking printouts now?
Get yourself a P-Touch.
Yeah, that's easy to read, though. That's easy to read on the cover right there.
It
Yeah.
is.
Most of I'm a little obscure. I'm not as obscure as Scal is. I never hold that title.
Brian's
Plus,
gonna
if
be
Scal, if Scal knows that I like it, I'm not going to be in his top 10.
Brian's going to be on next week with a brand new P-Touch from Brother.
Yeah.
Look what showed up. Holy shit.
The brother's back.
All right. So this one is going to need the P-Touch because my number, what do we have to 7 here?
Yeah.
Mhm.
7. All right. So here's the cover. No title at all. So here's the band. I think I talked about them last week or the week before.
Yes, I was going to say, that looked familiar.
Yep.
Flying Bachers,
Yes.
Negative Infinity. So the main guy in the band, because it's one of those bands where it's almost like a Megadeth. It's one guy, and then everybody else is like, supporting cast of characters. He labels it brutal prog. That's his description for it. So it's basically prog rock, a lot of jazz. Like one of the most prominent instruments is the tenor saxophone that does a lot of the heavy lifting. But then the bass guitar has like this Motorhead Voivod, like extreme distortion on it, like this big, fat, heavy, nasty bass guitar, like kind of bringing up the bottom end. Blast beats, but a lot of jazz parts. Super aggressive, kind of weird. Just a hard band to describe, but this is their 15th album. They've been going for a long time. Originally from Chicago, now they're based in New York City. Some of their stuff veers more towards the improvisational end, where it's more jazzy. But this one, the main guy, Chris, said, I wanted this album to be originally composed. So there was no improvisation in the studio. Every song is like carefully composed. And I like it. I like that approach. It's just really good, high velocity, high intensity, jazzy prog rock, but like way more like intensity and violence than when you think of prog rock, you think of stuff that, even if it kind of gets going, the tempos get up there, you don't really consider it like a violent, like aggressive kind of music.
I was going to say, you don't normally mention violence in a prog rock.
It's not really like, it's not how it goes. But every time I see this guy, he's, when I used to be on social media, he obviously plays in a lot of other jazz bands too. He plays guitar on this album, but his main gig is drumming. But every time I see him, he's always wearing shirts for like Deicide, like Conqueror, like Bestial Warlords, like these old school, crazy, like extreme metal bands. But he's playing in a jazz ensemble, so that kind of gives you the little meeting of the minds, clash of worlds going on here, and that comes across in the music too. It's like proggy jazz, but played with like extreme intensity. So I don't know. I think it's cool. It's I'll put it on in the car, and a lot of people in the car were like, nope. It's just you're either into it, really into it, or like, no, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with like this fucking
Nope.
this fucking blast beat, like this black metal blast beat, and this dude's just wailing on a tenor sax, and you have this like Voivod bass guitar, like super distorted, going through who knows how many pedals. But I don't know. I like it. I like that kind of shit. So my next one's Negative Infinity by the Flying Lutenbachers. Really cool album, and it's not raw. A lot of their stuff is kind of raw, like Rehearsal Room. This one's actually got a really good full, I don't dare say expensive studio production to it. So yeah, it's a great album. And that's my number 7.
I knew I recognized that cover.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool cover. It's I cannot say if anybody, that's one of these bands where I cannot predict if someone will like them, because people are going to hear them like, nope, or it's there's no middle ground. It's just one of those bands. So like, check it out if you think if that's my description sounds interesting. But if the description does sound interesting, the first song on this album, called "Fury of the Delusion," is as good a place to start as any. Those are all the guys here.
I will check it out myself.
It's I'm curious to know what you think, but it's definitely it's a hard sell. but I like them a lot.
I get what you're saying though, so I think I could appreciate it and dig it. So I totally understand what you're saying about it.
It's very musically muscular. It's got a lot of musical, chops, but it's
substance to it.
Substance, but it's violent and noisy, and there's a lot going on. So yeah, give it a spin.
Kind of John Zorn-ish.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of John Zorn, Naked City, a lot of Zappa.
Okay.
Old, not so much old school jazz like Ornette Coleman kind of stuff, but maybe a little bit of that. Some extreme metal, more in the amount of intensity, because that's the only thing I can compare it to is like just old school death metal when it comes to like the velocity and the the amount of noise they're generating. But actually, John Zorn was pretty fucking noisy too at times. So yeah, it's a good comparison.
Sounds interesting.
Write it down. I'm going to check it out after we get off.
I'm curious to know what you think.
We'll do.
I'll get back to you for sure.
All right, my number 7 is the first solo album from Queensryche vocalist Todd La Torre, in the Suffering, which was one of the earliest things that came out this year. And it's always, I talk about this every year at year end, those albums that came out that kicked you on your ass in January, and you're still listening to it like in the spring and into the summer, but then all of a sudden the deluge of the second half of the year starts, and you always think, God, I'm going to forget all about that album that came out in January. Nope, it's number 7, still really good. So this is, like I said, Todd's first solo album. He did it with his good buddy Craig Blackwell, who plays, some super crunchy guitar and bass.
Yes, he
does
does.
guitars on here, and it's not really like a Queensryche album, though. It's more like just a traditional metal album. To me, it sounds more like a Nevermore or a Sanctuary album. It's just really, really heavy.
Yep.
Killer guitars. Todd plays the drums on it as well, and he does all these different vocal styles on it. So if you're just used to hearing him in Queensryche doing like the Queensryche thing, you're going to be really surprised at this. Right? I mean, he covers like every gamut you can imagine. And man, when this came out, I listened to this a ton for the first couple months of the year. I just couldn't stop listening to it. It's so good. And naming some of the best tracks, I mean, Critical Cynic is great. Pretenders, Dogmata. I mean, just every song is killer. So Rejoice in the Suffering, Todd La Torre is my number 7.
Man, I never heard that yet, but when you say Nevermore, now I'm intrigued.
Oh, Ryan,
it's
really
heavy as fuck, Ryan.
I fucking love Nevermore, so that's definitely like, all right,
yes.
I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, you will dig this. Yeah,
it's heavy as fuck.
I'm gonna check
it's
that
like there are some songs where it's just like really, how like Nevermore were kind of not really thrash, but like a heavier, more
it's like that
thrash. That's kind of what it's like. It's got serious.
I just assumed it was going to sound like Queensryche, which is fine, but I'm like, I didn't bother with it.
No, it's a different beast altogether. His vocals are really aggressive on it.
I'm gonna check it out.
It's heavy as fuck.
Yeah,
I say no more. Say no more. I will check it out.
I'll get back to that later. So we're back to me, number 6, right?
Yep.
Number 6 for me is a band from back to Finland. So it's going to Steve, back to Finland. There's a band called Wheel.
Yes.
And their album called Resident Human. Tremendous. When I've tried to describe it to people, I always use Tool, because they definitely have a Tool-ism to them. But if you know the band Carnival, who I also love from Australia, if you took Carnival, who is a Toolish kind of band, if you took Tool and Carnival and mixed them together, that's kind of what Wheel is like. Oh man,
it's the Toolable.
Yeah, exactly what you said. It is, man. It's some fierce, tough stuff. It is really, really great. They have, I have to use Tool as an example, because if you've never heard them before, but they have a sprinkling, like Tool was definitely where that band was formed from. And then they grew and got their own thing, and they went someplace else. They don't really sound like Tool at all. But if I have to give you a place to kind of compare them, to bring them in, it would be Tool. But man, this band is so unique. And that's the same way I described Carnival. I always said to them that they were unique. Man, Resident Human is just a great fucking album. I've listened to that album all year long. I love them. I was a fan of theirs a couple of years ago, so they have not let me down at all. So easily number 6, Wheel, Resident Human. Great
I only
fucking
got
record.
that. I only got that like a couple weeks ago. It's fucking great. I agree
Oh,
100%. It's a really good album.
absolutely.
Cool.
Oh, you're Steve.
We're number 6, right? We're up to number 6. Going to Sweden with me now. We're not too far to go, but we're going from Finland to Sweden. But I'm talking about a band called Grand Cadaver, Into the Maw of Death. They're a new band. This is their first full LP. They had an EP out last year, and this features vocalist Michael Stahn of Dark Tranquility and ex-Catatonia drummer Daniel. I don't know how good my Swedish is here. Lokavist, I believe.
Pretty good.
And to hear one of my favorite vocalists unleashed and to his like most vicious roaring potential is what I really was a drawing point for me to listen, because I love Michael Stahn and I love Dark Tranquility, and I just want get to hear him do something else and just more of like the old school death metal style. And K-Fault, please. This is pretty hard to come by. I have a few copies in the shop on vinyl. I did have a few CDs, but the vinyl is like all the vinyl right now. It's like toilet paper was in 2020. You can't get this stuff. You're lucky if you get a copy of some of these albums. But Grand Cadaver, did I mention any tracks? I guess I didn't. I didn't really write any down, but of course I listened Into the Maw of Death, Rain Through Fire, Empire of Lies. It's a good solid record. It came out very recently, so it's just the opposite of Pete thinking going back into January. This is also end of November, and I think I only got the vinyl about a week ago. So Grand Cadaver with Into the Maw of Death.
Cool. All right, Ryan.
All right, my number 6. I don't need the Pete touch for this, but I printed it out. This is one everybody knows. Of course, I was gonna make it into my list because I love this band, and it's Iron Maiden.
Oh wow!
The Pete touch did make it into it. What are you talking about?
Here's the prop. Yeah, I love this album. Obviously, there's been a million opinions on it. You know what? The more I listen to it, I think the longest song, or it might be the longest song, the last song, Hell on Earth, is probably my favorite song on the album. I fucking love it. So I don't want to beat the dead horse. We've talked about it a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I listen to it. I like it. I've spent a lot of money to get tickets to see them next fall if it fucking happens. Whatever. Iron fucking Maiden. Love them.
What's the Celtic song? What?
Oh, it's
something of the Celts.
Oh yeah.
Rise of the Celts, something like that.
Not working.
You got the album right in front of you. Look at the fucking album.
Like 20 minutes long.
No, it's not on either side.
Oh my god! He's sitting there like, what's the name of the album?
Death of the Celts.
What's the name of that song? Although I'm holding the album right in my hand.
Death of the Celts.
Death of the
Celts.
I like that song a lot. That's really cool.
That is a good one.
That's a cool song.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I didn't know that it didn't sit on the back, but it was funny that I'm asking what's the name of the song and you're holding the album.
It's like I have no idea. Now, since I opened it, the gatefold for this shit, if you don't have the vinyl,
I've never seen it.
Look at that. That is fucking amazing.
Yeah, that is.
That is that's I guess the nice thing about having a 72-hour long album where you get this
72 hour.
Yeah, you get triple vinyl, so you get this maximum fucking size. This thing weighs like 8 pounds. You know, you can
that's another vinyl that's really hard to get.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I got 5 of them when it came out, and I haven't been able to replenish the order.
That's it? You got 5?
I got 5 vinyls. I mean, I can get as many CDs as you want, but
wow.
I tried to order when this came out. I tried to order 2 copies of the vinyl, like a black vinyl and a colored vinyl, just for collector's purposes. And they, I bought it through Amazon, and they canceled my order and said, nope, only 1 per order, and you can't order 2 vinyls because they're just that rare.
So what did you get?
This is just a black vinyl. I got just for listening purposes.
That's what I got, black too.
Yeah, they freaking canceled my order and said, no, we're only selling 1 per customer. I didn't think
Man.
2 was an egregious number. If I was ordering like 8 or 9 copies,
Well, you
Right.
think that I only got 5 Iron Maiden vinyls. I didn't get any Cannibal Corpse.
yeah,
Not
it's
one.
crazy.
Not one vinyl, and I still got 10 on back order from May.
It's freaking nuts.
They never
It's crazy.
reprinted it. So
They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming.
by the next
Anyway.
by next year's Cannibal Corpse record, we'll have this year's maybe.
Yeah, maybe if you're lucky.
We shall see.
I still, you know what though, Ryan? I still do miss Derek Riggs though, doing the cover art.
Oh yeah, there's no question. He was the it's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maiden and Riggs are kind of, it's like 2 pieces of
Yeah.
you know.
But just think of how many T-shirts they're gonna make of that new album to sell on the tour, fighting the old Eddie or fighting the devil or whomever.
I'm gonna
$50.
I'm gonna buy them.
$70. You mean nowadays? I'll buy one too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just buy one.
We
If
all
you buy more than one, it's a car paint.
You got to join the fan. I didn't buy tickets for this year's because I'm gonna wait and see if it happens and go then if I can go. But
Let's not even talk about that because it's
gotta
true.
join the fan club. They get the extra
let's not even
tickets.
talk
It's
about
it's a whole rigmarole.
Yeah, you goddamn right it is. But it's months away, so I want to have faith.
Yeah, it's quite a ways off. So yeah.
October, yeah.
Well, plenty of time to debate.
There'll be
that.
at least 3 new variants before then.
Oh god, yeah. Let's
Anyway,
Move on.
My number 6. This is a whole. This is the band that I can feature on both my metal list and my prog list, right? So you probably know who it's going to be. Coming in at number 6, the latest from Dream Theater, View from the Top of the World, right? Because it's prog, but it's still metal, so it can show up on both. Oh, come on, Butch! This is the best album in years. So
Sleep
good.
Theater.
So
Well, it does have Dream in it. It does have
You
Sleep.
get rid of Labrie and I'm back on.
good heavy album, memorable songs, best songwriting I've had in a while. Mangini kills on drums on here, great riffs. I dig it a lot. So, but I've talked about it enough this year, so we can move on from that. Back to Butch.
Number 5, Fear Factory Aggression Continuum, which really is called Monolith. So I'm not gonna get into the whole weeds of Dino versus Bert. I'm friends with Bert, so I'm kind of friends with both, but I'm on Team Bert. So Monolith was the original name of the record. It's tremendous. Whatever you want to call it, it's literally equally up there in the demanufacture era of Fear Factory, obsolete in that whole era.
Mhm.
Man, it's fucking fierce, and it's a shame that the infighting of bands, of business that gets involved, that ruins bands, has ruined Fear Factory. I have no idea who the new singer is going to be. It will not be Bert, and it will not be the same. So, but the record is a great way to say goodbye to, quote unquote, the second really, well, I guess really the third version of Fear Factory, if not the fourth. But it's a great fucking record. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was released as Aggression Continuum. Yeah. It's if you love Fear Factory, this is everything you love about Fear Factory. It's just a great, heavy Fear Factory record. It's everything you would want. It really is. I mean, the fanfare has been about the infighting and all that shit and all that stuff. But if you just listen to the record, it is just a tremendous record. So if you're a Fear Factory fan, don't be afraid. Go for it. It's awesome.
Who plays on this album? So it is Burton on vocals?
Oh, it's Bert on vocals. Dino, I'd be lying to you if I forget the drummer's name.
Is it the guy from Raven too? I think it's the cat from Raven.
Yeah,
right?
It's the drummer from Raven. Yeah.
All right. Well, I just saw Raven with that guy. That dude is a beast. So
he's a great drummer. Absolutely.
He's got the feet for it.
Yep. And I have no idea who's playing bass on it. I don't know.
I kind of forgot that album came out this year, but I listened to it quite a bit when it did drop.
Yep.
It dropped back in the spring, sort of, right?
Well, you know what? I'd be lying to you, honestly, Steve, if I told you when it came out. I know what all I know is that it came out this year. I was fortunate that Bert had sent me 2 years ago the Monolith version with the album art. And actually, if you go online, I'm sure you probably can find, if you put in Fear Factory Monolith, you'll see what the actual album cover should have been, which is better than what they actually did. It's really cool.
I think that album could have been a lot bigger, but like even like Scow, is Burton still singing on the album? I got that a bunch in my
Yeah.
shop, or people asking me, like, well, because I think the news came out that he was out of the band, then the album came out, so people were kind of thinking, well,
Yeah.
probably got, even not the first time I listened to it was on like Spotify when I was out walking, and
Yep.
I'm like, sounds like Burton still to me. And I looked and I said, yeah, he's still in the album, but you know, he's out of the band, so it was a little confusing.
It's very confusing. The
Yeah.
whole GoFundMe thing to redo the record and all that shit. Whatever. I don't know. All I know is that I've heard the version that's out now and the version that I have from 2018 sounds exactly the same to me.
Okay.
I don't know. Either way, it's a great fucking record. It's a great way to end the Burton C. Bell version of Fear Factory. Awesome.
So many good times of seeing Fear Factory at the Chance with you, Butch, too. In the
Absolutely.
back.
Absolutely.
I've seen
And,
it in every venue in New York over the years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Steve.
We're all the way up to number 5
5.
now, right? I'm on 5. Yep. So this is the 7th studio album from the Godfathers of the Gothenburg, Sweden sound at the gates with the nightmare of extinction.
Awesome.
They're back with an all-around strong album that gets almost, I would have to say, proggy at times. There's horns on this album.
It's good.
Like when
I like it a lot.
Yeah, me
think
too.
You like it too? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm into it.
We were talking about this on my channel. I had like John McAtee and some of the guys on and they were like raving about this record. Well, I've had a few of the local metalhead kids go up and like, oh, that album's horrible. Got horns in it. Yeah.
It's in my top 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
of
course the horns show up on the horns show up on the song Gardens of Cyrus. Tracks I recommend are The Paradox, Cosmic Pessimism is great. And here it is. This year. And there's the guys on the back. I got to see them on the Drink to the Night Itself tour, opening up for Amon Amarth in New York City before the end of the world happened. So hopefully I get to see them again. But
was Behemoth on that one too?
No, but they were with that Behemoth. You were at the
I saw that one.
Theater, and
Yeah.
at the gates that's the night. Oh man, was I hammered. And I got into the plateau where I didn't need another beer, but Butch was up on the VIP area with me, and he was with the drummer from Sugar.
Yeah, Tomas. Yeah.
Tomas, and they bought me another beer, and everybody was drinking Behemoth beer, if you remember.
Right, you're right. You're right.
Behemoth, and it was a strong double IPA or something from King's Brewery there, and
bad.
I did not drive home, and just
I was just going to ask, Steve, did you drive that
in the
night?
car was probably a lot. It was a lot of fun, but Behemoth that night had that chant when they just had that intro. It was a great show.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a great one.
Cool. All right,
So I
Ryan.
guess that's done with my number 5.
All right, so I'm looking at my albums here, and I just realized, starting with my last one, and in this one and the next 4 albums, actually, all these bands are from London, England.
Really?
This worked out. I just realized it now. I'm like, that's kind of fucking odd. But you know what?
Never heard of any of them.
It's the birthplace. What's up?
And Butch has probably never heard of any of them.
Well, we're getting into the obscure. We're getting into the weeds now.
Real
Steve.
obscure at the top of the list.
Here we go.
Make sure no one's ever, or Steve's never heard of it either. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go to some death metal now. So these guys are also from London. So the band is called. This is their second full length, called Grave Miasma, and the album's The Abyss of Wrathful Deities. And once the dog,
you got the P-Touch version of that?
yeah. Here's the album. So this is it's got some.
This is Muggsy's favorite album of the year too.
Muggsy's favorite album of the year. It's got some cool gatefold art. So this is just classic, really good, old school, early '90s churning death metal. If you like,
Okay.
Incantation, Old Immolation, Autopsy, like that kind of death metal. Used to have an additional guitarist, Roland. He also used to play for Destroyer 666. Unfortunately, he quit both bands. He was a great guitarist, but he quit right when I think this was being written or recorded. So a lot of his handiwork is still on the album, at least in the writing, if not in the recording portion. But Yeah, this is just really good old school evil death metal. You know, nothing fancy, nothing modern about it. Really good, powerful production though. Very, very strong production. The drummer, Danny, plays in a lot of different English metal bands. Let's see, plays in at least one other one on my list, which I'll get to because the name's a little strange.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, there's a band on this list. That's the particular reason I went P-Touch, and we'll see when I come to it. But we're not there yet. We're not there yet. So this is number 5 is Grave Miasma. So if you like death metal, if you like Cannibal, yeah, I'll expand it to all death metal, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, all that stuff. This album's worth checking out. It is pure death metal though. There's no like overtures to like other styles of music. It's just 100% right down the middle. Good, well written, awesome old school death metal. Great leads, great drums, deep growling vocals. That sounds like something you'd be into. Check this album out. Really, really good. So I'm going with Grave Miasma. And I've seen them live a couple times, and man, for that style of music, fucking perfect. Just what I want to hear, Unfortunately, I think the last time I saw them was probably Maryland Death Fest a couple of years ago, but they've played New York City over the years here and there. Not very often. Don't really tour a lot, but yeah, if they do come around, who the hell knows? But I'll definitely be seeing them again because they are freaking great live. So that is my number 5.
All right. My number 5. I normally kind of wince when a really cool band decides to do a part 2 of an album that was a big hit for them like a long time ago. And in most cases, when you look back on rock and roll history, when that happens, usually it's a disaster. However, in this case, it was not. Between the Buried in Me, Colors 2.
Wow.
Absolutely killer album. I love the first Colors album. It was one of my favorite concept albums in like the metal style back like a decade ago, and it's still my favorite Between the Buried and Me albums to this day. But man, this comes a close second. It is just it's a long album, but it's just crushingly heavy. It's ridiculously complex. And yeah, kind of like, to me, like these guys are kind of like a modern day warped, much more progressive and heavy and extreme version of Faith No More. I mean, there's just like everything under the sun is on this album. It's like, it's got like complex prog metal. It's got crazy like carnival music. It's got death metal. It's got hardcore. It's got some clean vocals on it that are just really, really nice. Keyboards, crazy guitars. I mean, just everything. The drumming's out of control. Just a wacky, crazy album, but it all makes sense. And you get little bits of things here and there that will remind you of stuff from the first part. But otherwise, it stands great on its own. And the very last song, called Human as Hell, is the big like epic on the album. And it's just absolutely amazing. So Colors 2 from Between the Buried and Me is my number 5.
Yeah, I got to spend more time with that. I've only listened to a little bit of it, but yeah, that's one of those bands you got to spend some time with.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Worth it though.
So number 4, we've taken way longer than we thought we were going to. We talked about this in the beginning. Oh, this is going to take an hour. So I'm going to move it along.
We're at an hour right now. We got 4 to go.
About halfway.
So I've been all over the world with my notes. So I'm up to number 4. So I've been in Canada, France, Pennsylvania, Finland. So now we're going to Lebanon, if you can believe it.
Wow.
When I heard this band, God damn it, this year, my jaw completely dropped. I had to go look up this band and find out. I knew nothing about them, and then I saw that they were from fucking Lebanon. Turbulence. The record is called Frontal. Holy shit. Prog metal. Oh my God. It just spectacular. Literally, when I first heard them, I'm like, who are these guys? Where did this come from? And then you look up, you see Lebanon. And it's obvious, it's all in English, but my God, if you guys have never heard Turbulence before, this is, now we're in the top 4. This is the album that I would tell you. I'm sure that most people haven't come across them. I don't even know how I came across them. Unbelievable. This record is just spectacular. That's all I can say. Just a prog metal, modern metal record. Wow. that wow's all I can say. I love this record a lot. And this one was hard to kind of figure out where to place it. I know it wasn't going to be number one, although I did think about it. Wow is just an incredible record from some very, very talented guys from Lebanon. I love this album so much.
I'm gonna check that out.
Lebanon, the hotbed of heavy metal.
And that's not Lebanon, Pennsylvania we're talking about.
No, it is not Lebanon, Pennsylvania. It's Lebanon, Lebanon. Yeah, when I saw that, it was like, Lebanon? Man, just outrageous. Just a great album. I'm so happy for them.
I've seen that mentioned a few places this year.
Ooh, brilliant.
I gotta check that out.
We're at number 4.
Yes, sir.
Number 4 is an album that came out in early 2021, and I became friends with the band, and they were on my channel a lot. And a little starstruck. They reminded me of some of the energy that I saw in some bands in the early 80s and what they put together. I'm talking about Nervosa with Perpetual Chaos, the 5th studio album from the all-female Brazilian thrash metalers. The founding member, Prika Amara, had to deal with finding all new members in the year of 2020. They had a U.S. tour set up, everything else, an album coming out, and the other members split. And she put together an international group consisting of bassist Mia Winter Wallace. She's Abath, also plays bassist in Abath, ex-Triumph of Death, and vocalist Diva Satanica, who a lot of people will know from the clip that was floating around social media a few years ago of her on The Voice in Spain doing a Marilyn Manson cover, doing it in this crazy death growl. So she had also has a band called Bloodhound over there, but they got her on vocals. They got drummer Alina Nota from Greece. So it's truly an international band, and they put this album together, tracks, and it's got guests from the guy from Flotsam and Jetson's on a track. It has Smear from Destruction on Genocidal Command, which is one of the tracks I'm going to recommend. Guided by Evil, the first track, is also Time to Fight, Under Ruins. That's a lot of fun. They just reminded me of like the excitement that I had going to see Girls' School and stuff back in the day, maybe because they're all female, and it was just a lot of energy and a solid record, solid thrash metal record, and kind of like a blackened thrash at times from Nervosa. That's my number 4.
Nice. All right, Ryan.
All right, so I'm staying in London. I'm not moving. I'm going to stay there for a couple more picks.
You go with the P-Touch.
So this one, the P-Touch, is going to come in handy because this name's a little getting out there.
Oh
a little
boy,
bit.
I'm looking.
So it's a death metal album. This is their 3rd album. The band is called Lucifer, and the album's called The Broken Sea Lucifer. So this came out over the summer on Dark Descent Records.
That's a cool name, though.
I've got the props right here. Here we go. Here's the album. Here's the artwork. So this is death metal, but it's death metal. It's digging a little deeper. The closest comparison I can think of is Morbid Angel, but to me, Morbid Angel, everybody has their favorite album if you're into them. To me, they shit the bed after Formulas Fatal to the Flesh, their mid 90s album. The first one with Steve Tucker, and they've been going after that, but I don't really give a fuck. The one after that, Gateways, was kind of whatever. So these guys to me have like taken the mantle of Morbid Angel and gone in like new cosmic directions that Morbid Angel have not touched in years. So their guitarist, who's a Polish guy, so actually I can go to Poland a little bit, but has been living in London for years. It's kind of like the hair to Trey from Morbid Angel on this. It is just it's cool to hear a band that is it's very fundamental, like old school death metal. It doesn't do anything wildly different as far as like avant-garde, experimental. It's just solid death metal. But the way he puts the riffs together, the way he writes these songs, there's really nothing like it. I say Morbid Angel because it's like a pretty good touchstone, but honestly, listening to this album, I couldn't think of another band that like puts songs together the way this guy does. Like very jagged, like back and forth. The way he goes up and down the scales and stuff. It's not typical for death metal, but it works. It really, I don't know. It's perfect. Their earlier stuff touched on that in different amounts, but this album to me, it's really like he went above and beyond. and it's basically just him and a drummer. So the whole album's this one guy with a drummer. All the guitars, bass, and vocals is one dude whose real name doesn't even publish it. It just goes by T Chaos. That's his name. So I couldn't even tell you his real name. But yeah, if you like old school Morbid Angel, and even I'm gonna say maybe some also early Immolation too. Not so much that they sound like Immolation, but Bob Vigna's guitar playing back then, and now too, but early Immolation, like that guy's guitar playing is just like another dimension. He's like coming in from the Twilight Zone. Some of the shit he writes, some of his lead guitar, really outlandish. So then that's the kind of feel this gives me. It's like really, really just creative, zany stuff, but not experimental. You listen to this whole thing, it's just like a fucking bulldozer. It's pure death metal, no like jazzy parts, nothing like that. Solid death metal, but done very interesting, very well. Hard to really compare it to anybody else. So this is I would say my favorite death metal album of the year. I have another one on the list I'll get to, but that one's kind of weird. So as far as like just pure solid death metal, I'd say this is probably my favorite one of the year. I've been listening to this nonstop since August when it came out. It's just so fucking good. Good on headphones, good in the car. It's good at headphones, like when you're going to bed at night with the lights out, because it sounds so fucking evil.
Oh, it might be scary.
It's good. And that's, you know what? A lot of death metal.
Butch won't be listening to it.
Butch, do you want to listen to that for your bedtime lullaby?
No. Well, I'll be honest, because a lot of death metal, like stuff like Cannibal Corpse and Suffocation, I like it, but it doesn't have that evil sound to it. It's just old school death metal. But these guys have that feel. It's got that creepy, kind of vibe to it, which is hard to pull off. It's not an easy thing to achieve in this day and age. A lot of bands can't manage it. These guys do. So
I just love that he did all of that, and then said, this is my favorite death metal album of the year, but I have one coming next after it. That's
the next one's kind of weird. So as far as like pure death metal,
this is my favorite death metal of the album of the year until the next one.
The next one.
Which we will get to in a minute. We will get.
I also like the Morbid Angel part of the discussion, right? It's like, my favorite album was from the mid-90s. They've done more since then, but I don't really give a fuck. So
exactly, I don't really give a fuck.
Well, there's the one we don't even want to talk about.
Well, no, yes, exactly. Yeah, we definitely don't want to talk about that.
It's a good thing it's a good thing they got Tucker back. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I want to. You know what? I know they put out a new one. I couldn't give a fuck after that last one.
They got rid of Steve Tucker. That's a good album.
The last one was pretty good, actually. Yeah.
Ryan, I love you, Ryan.
That one before was so freaking bad.
That was an abomination. Yeah, that was.
You can't burn your bridges like that.
Kick one of the founding members out after that one.
Yeah, well, that was an atrocity. That was quite bad. All right, what are we at? Number 4? Yeah, my number 4 has already been mentioned by Steve. Hushed and Grim by Mastodon. Really dig it a lot. I really dig it a lot. And I agree with Steve. The first disc is amazing. And there are some really good parts of disc 2, but it's just a little long. But I still think there's enough great stuff on here. And I really like this band a lot. For me, there's really only one album they've ever done that I haven't been crazy about, which was The Hunter. Everything else I think has been really cool. And it's just so complex and so like interesting. I love the different style of vocals, and like Butch mentioned, they really do the harmony guitars really well, and the drumming is off the charts. So yeah, it's my number 4 of the year. I listened to this a ton. So back to Butch.
Well, number 3 is, I guess now is I was thinking before that we haven't had anything that all of us or somebody else is like this the same. So this will be the second one because you like Steve's pick. So my number 3 is Todd Latore, Rejoice in the Suffering. Ryan, like we were telling you before,
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out.
When I heard this, it's a sledgehammer, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's if you thinking that it sounds anything like Queensryche,
which I was,
you are mistaken.
You said Nevermore. Yeah, when you said Nevermore, that piques my interest because
I love him in Queensryche, and I put this CD in, and I was like, whoa,
wow.
Like,
yeah, okay.
Ryan, I'll say the same thing I said to you before. It's heavy as fuck.
I will check it out.
It is nonstop. It is so heavy. Like Pete said before, Todd's playing drums and singing on it. Oh, the guitar work was a buddy of his that he's known forever. Man, it is it is. I don't even know. It's one of the metal albums of the year. It's brilliant. It really is. You could not. I like Tyler Torrey's voice anyway, so I like him in Queensryche a lot because he helped continue the good side of Queensryche and got rid of a lot of the dead weight kind of thing.
He did,
and it's beyond anything that he's done. Anything you've heard him sing on is not this.
Yeah, okay.
Let me put it to you that way. You're gonna hear this and be like, "Whoa, he off the charts."
I'm gonna check it.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt. Number 3.
I listened to that earlier in the year. I need to revisit it. And I tell you, I think he brought Queensryche back, him being in the band, because man, I didn't listen to Queensryche for like 20 years, and those last 2 albums. I mean, especially the last one. I love that record.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, back to me with number 3. I don't have an album of this because the album doesn't come out till February, and this is Unto Others, Strength, formerly known as Idle Hands.
Wait a minute.
What's that?
Did you say it doesn't come out till February?
The vinyl doesn't.
Vinyl does.
Oh, the CD's out. Gotcha.
Okay.
CD's
I don't
out
care
for
about the
months.
vinyl. Okay.
I was wondering too. I'm like, how'd you get a copy? Like,
I'm like, wait a minute.
From the future, coming in from the year 2000.
No, so anyhow, Unto Others, Strength, formerly known as Idle Hands. They had to change their name in 2020 due to legal.
Oh, Idle Hands. Okay.
Yeah. And tracks I recommend on this album are Downtown. The other single is When Will God's Work Be Done? Just a Matter of Time. The band is considered like a gothic band, but I dare anyone checking them out not to sing along with these. Like,
wait,
every song is like catchy.
I've got the pen here. What's the name of the new band? I liked Idle Hands a lot. I didn't know they changed their name.
On to Others.
All right then.
Again, the P touch would save a lot.
And
can you make that for me, Ryan? Make a P touch.
Nick Franco likes them a lot too. He got to see them out when he went. They played Psycho Las Vegas over the summer.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, they're great.
And amazing vocals. Gabriel Franco, the vocalist, and
that's why he likes them.
No relation.
Yeah, they got the same. It was upset because I interviewed Gabe on my channel, and like Franco was like, "Man, I didn't go for that. We got the same last name." I'm like, I guess so, yeah. But yeah, I got to see them when they opened up for King Diamond and Uncle Acid and the Deadbeats back at King's Theater in Brooklyn a few years ago. But a strong record. It could even be higher on this list. This list could change. At least the top 3. The top 3 albums on here could flip flop around by tomorrow. Maybe next week when I do my list, it could always change. But love this band. I loved Idle Hands with that album Mana. And the single out at the EP that came out, Don't Waste Our Time. I think it's Don't Waste Our Time or Don't Waste My Time. Just great stuff. One of the new American good metal bands. I mean, they're metal. They got great lead guitars, great choruses, great vocals. So, Unto Others.
I did not.
Now Butch knows their new names. I helped them out.
I didn't know the Idle Hands had changed. That's. Thank you very much for letting me know that. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. We're back to Sky with another one of his P-Touch Flotsam.
Back to brother.
We're so I'm gonna stay in London for a little bit longer here. You know what? I know that England's the birthplace of heavy metal, but it is kind of cool to see so many albums come out of London these days. You know, just have to work out that way. So so one of my favorite styles of metal is black thrash. You know, a little black metal, a little thrash metal. And I bought a lot of black thrash albums this year, which I like, but for some reason, only one of them made it into my top 10. But it is a good one, so we'll bring it up. So the band is Craven Idol, and the album is called Forked Tongues, and it has, I'm going to say, some of the coolest artwork of the year. Really, volcano erupting, all the serpents coming out of the volcano. Eightfall's a really cool picture of the guys. So this is best way to describe this album is it's kind of like Destroyer 666. It has that same vibe. It's full throttle thrash metal, a lot of black metal, and like really like fist in the air, like sing along, like epic choruses. Kind of reminds me of some of the stuff that Bathory did in the late 80s, which is also true of Destroyer. Every song on here is great. This is their third album, and the first two were very good albums. But this one, to me, just blows the first two away. This is definitely the best thing they did. Venomous Rites, The Wrath of Typhon, Iron Age of Devastation. The album it's almost like a concept album about Greek gods, and almost tells this little story about some of the Titans being released and fighting Zeus and this battle between the Titans and the Greek gods. And that's cool shit. It's really cool. The last two songs, though, are kind of long. Deify the Storm God and The Gods That Left Us for Dead. They're about 8-9 minutes each. To me, they're the highlight of the album because it's got that massive epic feel to it, combined with the thrash and the black metal. It's just great stuff. I was able to see them when I was in Berlin in 2018. See a festival over there. They played a pre-show. It was actually just the tour they were on just happened to be in Berlin the night before the fest, so we all went to that. And they were fucking great too. So when they were writing this album, they said being on tour for a month really helped them, because a lot of these bands, unfortunately, being obscure, they don't get to tour a lot. But these guys did a pretty good European tour, and they wrote the album on that tour. And you could tell it has that feel of like a band that spent a lot of time playing together. It's really, really good stuff. So if you're into like obviously Destroyer 666, but other black bands like Absu, Niflheim, Disaster, the German band, anything like old school black and thrash metal. This is, I think, the best album of the year in that style. Great guitar work, great drums, great vocals, just great songwriting. I bought this in August. I've been listening to it, I'm going to say daily since then. It's so fucking good. So, going with Craven Idol, Forked Tongues from London, England.
Definitely one of the coolest album covers of the year.
It's pretty epic.
That artwork is fucking.
It's pretty epic.
It's like some
looks like
Toho film, It's like you expect to see like Godzilla or Mothra from the other side.
King Ghidorah is there. All you need is Megalon.
Yeah. Nice.
They
All right, my number 3 from Germany. Halloween.
Woo!
Yeah.
Great album.
Yeah, this totally lived up to all the expectations, I think.
It's
just great.
100%.
It's great hearing, these guys singing together and all these guys playing together, but it's all, the songs are just really memorable. It's just, there's epic stuff on here. There's classic speed metal on here. There's classic power metal on here. So many great songs. Out for the Glory, Fear of the Fallen, Angels, man, Cyanide. The whole thing is great. It's melodic, it's catchy, it's epic, it's great guitar work. I just love hearing those two guys singing together, man. It's so good.
Great.
So good. I wish we got more Kai Hansen lead vocals on the album. That's really the only thing I'm missing. But for the most part, man, this is just great stuff. And the cover art is great. Yeah, that's my number 3.
Well, back to me, number 2. So I'm going back to Sweden. So my number 2 is an album that I can only call epic. Evergrey's Escape of the Phoenix. Wow. Just I don't think there's anything else I need to say besides that. Just epic. It's just a brilliant, tremendous album. Just everything about the record. I love these guys so much. Just there's nothing else I can say. I don't know. Brilliant is all I can say. It's just an elegant. I like that word. I like elegant. It's an elegant metal record from Sweden. Just
Thomas
beautiful
England.
Yeah.
Huh?
Mr. Thomas England.
Yeah.
It's a great one. It's in my top 20 too. Yeah.
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 It's a beautiful,
In
elegant
my top
metal record.
in my top 20, I think also. Yeah. I looked at my other pile here.
Yeah, they very rarely do wrong. I mean, I think there's really only, I think Sunday Morning Apocalypse is the only album from them that I'm not that crazy about. All the other ones are just magnificent. Yeah.
The last 2 in particular have just been monumental.
Yeah.
Just like, wow. It's like you listen to it and you have to take a break. You're like, wow, what did I just hear?
Yeah.
Just elegant.
Yep. I've been a fan of theirs for years. And Pete was not lucky enough to have Thomas on the channel this year too.
Yeah.
Nice interview you had.
Yeah, it's like early in the year, right? This is right after the album.
Well, that album came out in like January, right?
Yeah, it's another January. Yeah, I talked to him right after that. So
yeah. Excellent.
Cool.
So that's easily my number 2. It could have been number 1, but stay tuned.
Number 2 for me, me and Pete Pardo are starting to lock in here a little bit. Hurry up.
Oh, you got the vinyl. Nice.
The Fear of the Fallen.
But he does own a record store, Brian.
True. Yeah.
I still have this vinyl for sale at Rock Fantasy. If
I
you
want to
need
go
it,
buy
I'll
one
be
from
there.
you. I couldn't find one, but I'll go. I'll spend
You
some
couldn't
money.
find this at my store?
No, I didn't look in your store yet, Steve. Jesus
Oh,
Christ.
thank you. You looked everywhere else. Walmart, Target,
Target.
the record store in Hoboken.
I'll be there this weekend. Relax.
Oh, that's nice of you. You can play the Godzilla pinball and hear Blue
I
Oyster
will.
Cult too.
That
There you
game
go.
rules, by the way. That
Oh,
Godzilla.
Did you play it yet?
Oh yeah. We were before we went to play it. Before we went to see Blue Oyster Cult, we stopped by and we
That was perfect timing.
we spent some money on it for that
They're
very
in
reason.
the pinball machine, really?
Yeah, the multi-ball plays Godzilla by Blue Oyster
Oh,
Cult.
that's cool.
It's
that's
cool.
cool.
The game,
So crazy that the year 2021, we've got two pinball machines and they sit right next to each other. Both have Blue Oyster Cult songs in them.
Well, what's the other?
Heavy
What's
Metal,
the other
yeah.
pin?
Heavy Metal, the pinball,
Oh.
which is based on
Resident Psychic
the
game from the movie.
movie, and then of course now
What are
the
the odds,
Godzilla
dude?
game sits next to it, and when you get the one multi-ball, yeah, the Godzilla song kicks in. It's really cool.
That's cool.
Nice.
The Godzilla one is really cool.
And the next one's coming, Scal, you're gonna love too. Is Rush, the pinball.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
Really?
buy that shit.
Yeah, that's coming out in January.
Can
Good-
they fucking make me a Wayne Gretzky pinball machine already? God damn it!
I
Get
would
Bobby
believe-
or Power Play. That's it.
They haven't made a freaking hockey pinball in how many years? What was the latest one? Ice Fever?
I didn't even play
Ice
that one. I
Fever.
just remember Bobby Orr Power Play, which is a great
Bobby
game.
Orr Power Play. I bought one for those from Butch. How many years ago was that, Butch?
Jesus, the '90s.
That and what was the other one? You had a Kiss
The
stick.
Kiss, yeah, I
Yeah.
had both of them. Yep.
Anyhow, so Halloween, everything Pete said, I'm gonna echo pretty much. That's simply, first album released with the Pumpkins United lineup, and
It's a great
it's
album.
just dueling vocals, dueling guitars, and it's album's it's a pretty long album.
Yeah.
I wish that the song Pumpkins United was on the album though too. Yeah, if it was just on a single, why can't we have it on an album too? But Best Time is like the happiest, most positive song ever. And it was really hard to listen to that a little bit in 2021, but I tried. I tried to have the best time of my life in 2021, but it simply really wasn't happening. But anyhow, Halloween, number 2 for me also.
You're not alone on that.
This would be the best time of my life.
It's a great song. It's a great
The
song.
best time of my life ever being on Pete Pardo's top 20 countdown or top 10.
There you go.
Hell
you
yeah, the best
suck up.
time of our lives.
Steve's sucking up.
I knew I'd bring him here for a reason.
All the damn time, right?
All the damn time.
There's no pretty girls, so nobody's watching tonight.
I know, right? They're going to see the thumbnail. Like, no Lynn, no Sydney.
Yep, I'm out.
And even Spaghetti's not here tonight. Where's Joe? Where's Spaghetti at?
Yeah, it's just us. Just us.
It's a good thing.
All right,
that
well-
we'd be on here for, imagine if 10 of us are on here, we might as well call for breakfast.
It'd be like a Scorsese movie, man. Yeah, you'd be calling out for fucking coffee. and dinner.
We got to wrap it up. We're going to run out of the next act's going to be coming on soon.
You're gonna get the vaudeville king come out on stage.
Down like a yank for the number 1 P-Touch album.
All right. It's funny you say that, Steve, because this is the reason for the P-Touch. Because I will admit,
boy.
Oh no.
so here we go. These next two, this could be my favorite album of the year. I love this. I've listened to it nonstop. But
But it's
I
number
will
2.
admit-
Wait a
Number
minute. Wait
two.
a minute.
What happened?
This
What?
could be my number 1 album of the year,
These two.
but it's number 2.
Well, these two kind of swap. I don't know. It's hard to pick. So I put this one at number 2. But you asked me in 5 minutes. This could be my number 1. But that said, I have no honest idea how to pronounce the name. None. I have
Oh,
no
no.
idea.
Oh,
So
So,
for everybody
I'm gonna-
watching,
I'm
this
gonna
is
do it.
guess the name yourself, right? Because
It's, yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm gonna hold it up, and if you want to take a whack at it,
oh, no.
Satan bless your heart. So here's the band name. Here's the band.
Holy shit.
So they're from London again. We're sticking to London. The album's called Poison Phalaenopsia. So yeah, all right.
Crickor,
Wow.
Rickor.
You know what? I don't even attempt to. I don't usually talk about this stuff in person. You just type it online. You can copy and paste it.
Crickor.
I have no idea. I won't even attempt it because I'm sure it's obviously not a real fucking word. So,
Wow, I would say not.
So anyways, that said, so the art, well, The artwork on this album, though, is sumptuous. Look at that. That is
sumptuous.
That is. It's got some really, really cool artwork.
Acid trip.
It is. It's kind of like a Tool album a little bit, but
You
I don't know.
want me to listen to that before I go to sleep?
So well, it's
That
funny
was
you
the
say that.
last one.
Here's the lyrics, and they're like
Oh
some
no.
stream of consciousness, like insanity. All right,
That must
so
be fun to
here's the
read.
deal. Here's the deal. So this is the other album I said was probably my favorite death metal album, because that's a traditional death metal album. This is technically death metal, a little black metal, but it's 2 songs, and the songs are about half an hour long each. So it is the way I was thinking about how to describe this, because it's obviously kind of unique. It's like you took some really weird death metal and combined it with Animals by Pink Floyd. That's the only real way I can describe it. So it has like the Animals, like it's almost psychedelic. There's a lot of psychedelic moments, but not in like a Grateful Dead way. It's like a bad acid trip mixed with like this insane death metal. It's a great headphones album, and it's evil as fuck. So yeah, like lights out headphones, perfect. Yeah,
Any vocals?
No, it's vocals. Yeah, it's like pretty typical death metal vocals.
Okay.
And it's the same drummer actually. So I saw these. All right, so here's the deal. These guys toured the U.S. a couple of years ago. I saw them. Something happened at some point, and the whole band quit except for the main guy, Steve, the main guitarist, singer, and vocalist, and guitarist and vocalist and songwriter. So he puts together another lineup as the drummer from Grave Miasma and the bass player from a couple of New Zealand bands, and they write and record this album. And their last EP was 3 songs, which was about 8 or 9 minutes each. So in this one, he's like, fuck it. He goes all out. So it's 2 songs, and they're about 20 something, almost 30 minutes each. So it's not like a casual throw it on in the car, album. It's like you got to sit down and absorb it. And it's just this swirling, massive, insane, crazy fucking death metal. It's just, I put it on before I go to sleep. It's just that kind of music, the guy's a very talented musician, so it's not a total mess. It's very skillfully composed. These guys are talented. The lead guitar is great, but man, this is not a casual listen. So the description of like crazy death metal mixed with like Animals, Pink Floyd is about the closest I can get. But since the songs are so long, I can't even be like, well, go on YouTube and check it out.
You got to tell me what the names of the 2 songs are.
Well, they get the P-Touch revved up.
Yeah, they're right there. Yeah, you're gonna have to use a little Google foo for that one. Yeah, it's what? Maybe they're on the.
Oh my! They don't even tell you what the name of the songs are.
They do. It's on the vinyl. I pulled the vinyl out.
Oh my god!
The first one is side A, is Serpentine, Cirrhosis, Mother's Abomination, and the second one is I can't say this word. Repugnant Malevolence, Mother's Illumination. You just got to Google it. I'm
right off the tongue.
Yeah, but you know what? If you like weird, crazy, experimental, outlandish stuff like this, man, this album is just it's really fucking good.
Where are they from?
They are from London. From London.
Oh, they're from London too. Okay.
Yep. So that is the last band on the 5 bands from London. Starting with Iron Maiden, and ending with these guys. I won't even attempt to pronounce it. I won't even attempt it.
Quizzicore.
Yeah.
That's a household name. The marketing agents must love it.
Someone in the comments is going to tell you how to say it.
Yes, I'm
I
sure.
hope they do. Well, the back
knows who it is other than him. Yes,
that's their logo on the back. So it does have the band name spelled in the circle, kind of going around the symbol. So,
boy, Butch, you've got records to listen to every night before sleep this week. I see.
Oh, I'm scared.
Yeah, that is a. I mean, I'm totally into like having like creepy shit to listen to on headphones for sleep. That's just that's what I'm into. And man, this album's the best one I've heard in forever. It's creepy as fuck.
I would love to know what kind of dreams you have, my friend.
Yeah, right.
Interesting ones. Very interesting ones.
That's a tough act to follow. Mine's pretty pedestrian by.
Exactly. Top that one. Pete.
Well, I'm sure we can pronounce your name of whatever you.
Lucifer 4.
Yeah.
There you go. The 4th album from one of my favorite bands, Lucifer.
Wow.
From Germany and Sweden. Germans, the singers from Germany, the rest of the bands from Sweden. I love this album. I love this band. She's such a great singer. The songs are just classic 70s style hard rock with like a little bit of psychedelic touches here and there, and the occult lyrics. I mean, so catchy. There's little bits of doom and stuff here. I just love this album. Every song is great. I like all 4 of their albums, and the band just keeps on cranking one after another. And if it wasn't for the band name, and I think some of the lyrical content, and of course the cover, I mean, this stuff should be massive. I mean, everybody should be listening to this band. So Lucifer 4, my number 2. Almost had it as my number 1, but my number 1 is pretty damn special. So
I tell you,
we'll
I came in really high up for you, Pete. That's good.
Yeah,
I have it here, but yeah. And I mean, if they didn't have that name, they didn't have the lyrical content, they would probably not have a lot of their fans.
You might be right, but
because that's what they're all about.
I know, but I know a lot of people who would like this kind of music and like their music, but won't listen to them because of the names. Like, I'm not listening to anybody that's called Lucifer.
That's a great band, and it's a great album.
Yeah,
the artwork's freaking cool too.
Yeah, it is. So that's my number 2. All right, Butch.
All right.
Number 1.
So starting the final here. So number 1, this was the other album that I said earlier that was highly anticipated. It did not let me down in the slightest bit. It's everything that I thought it would be. The greatest living singer on this planet, Glenn Hughes, the Dead Daisies, Holy Ground. God damn it. I knew that the combination. Now, Glenn Hughes and guitar player Doug Aldrich have played together before, doing Glenn Hughes' solo stuff. So I knew that when he was going to come into the Dead Daisies with Aldrich, I just knew that this was going to be magic, and it absolutely is. How a guy that is almost 70 years old, how he is making people half his age look silly with his vocals. Glenn Hughes is the greatest singer, the greatest hard rock singer on this fucking planet. I don't even know what name somebody that you think is better than Glenn Hughes, and you're wrong. That's all I can say. Hughes just shows over and over and over how great of a singer he is. Stevie Wonder called him the voice of rock in the 70s, and he is still that in 2021. Glenn Hughes is astonishing, and this record is just completely badass. I mean, honestly, Glenn Hughes' solo record before this, a couple of years ago, Resonate, I think was my number 1 or it might have been number 2, because I think Rival Sons was number 1 that year. But it is absolutely a continuation of that record. This is literally a Glenn Hughes solo record with the Dead Daisies. It's absolutely amazing. If you like hard rock, just straight ahead hard rock with phenomenal vocals, great guitar playing, done. Without a doubt. Dead Daisies, Holy Ground is my number 1 of the year. No doubt about it.
Cool. Bet you that would have been high up on Sydney's list too, I think, if she was on tonight.
Possibly. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So my number 1 album of this year is an album that I listened to probably the most. It came out in the depths of the winter last year, and it's from the 12th studio album from Portugal's gothic metal legends, Moonspell, with Hermitage. The album is the first without the original drummer, Miguel Gasper. It's a true masterpiece to me in dealing with the dark times that we're living through currently. Fernando wrote the album, and also the vocalist, of course, wrote this about living in solitude and being like a hermit, and even before the pandemic came. So, but as the pandemic came and we were locked in, still I've been locked down a lot because I take care of someone that needs to be taken care of. But the album really hits on these times, and it's a gatefold like almost all of them are now. But one of my favorite bands over the years, and songs that I would say Greater Good, Common Prayers, Hermitage, and the Hermit Saints. Just really strong lyrical content, and it's all about a lot of the things going on that we're living through now. I feel that's how I portray it. How you listen to a song, and you think of it in ways, and that's kind of what the thing is. I know that Nick Franco was a huge fan of this album too, that couldn't be on tonight, but he got to interview him earlier this year too. So anyhow, so Moonspell is my number one. Shockingly, I've loved them for years. I don't think they've ever got a number one, and I think Halloween could be number one, and Until Others could be number one also. So it could be like a three-way tie, but we'll see.
Cool.
We had to do something for Monday night.
There you go.
He Touch Boy.
All right.
He Touch Boy.
So for this last one,
A household name, right?
Moving in London, Steve. I'm out of London. We're going
Uh-oh.
south. We're going way south. We're going to Australia this time.
Oh
boy.
Uh-oh.
So all right. So here's the deal. This is a death metal band, but they are a pretty unique death metal band. Almost prog metalish at times. I will say that of all the bass players in metal now, the guy on this album and this band is my favorite metal bass players. Guys by the name of Damon Good. Totally under the radar. Most people haven't heard of him, but this dude could play. He could play against literally anybody you could name. Like he's just like genius level bass playing, and in the context of a death metal band too, which is not easy to do because the music's a little more compact. But so the band is Stargazer, and the album's called Psychic Secretions.
I like the name of the band.
And here's the artwork. The artwork's almost like it's a very, very reflective, which is
I was gonna say it's a fucking mirror.
It's a fucking mirror, but it's kind of like a spin on the first Morbid Angel album, Altars of Madness. It's not really working out here with the camera. But, so these guys, if I had to compare it to somebody, it's kind of like early '90s, like where Death was going to, like on Individual Thought Patterns, Symbolic. Also bands like Cynic, Atheist, or some of the later Pestilence albums, where it's still death metal, but like very prog metalish, a lot more instrumental, like robust instrumental instead of just blasting ahead. And these guys are completely in that field. They started in the early '90s, but they've only put out, this is only their fourth album since 1995. So they don't really put out a lot of stuff. They don't play out a lot. I don't think they've ever toured. I think they played the States once, maybe a decade ago. It was someplace out in Colorado. I wanted to go, but unfortunately I couldn't make it. But yeah, this is like, it's technically death metal, but it's very like heady, cerebral, like it's basically prog death metal is the best way to describe it, with this phenomenal, like, cosmic bass playing. This guy's just dancing all over the tracks, sometimes like marrying up with the guitars, sometimes going on these bass runs into like, he's going off in his own world, coming back. Really cool stuff. But like the vocals are death metal, so it's still grounded in that realm. When I say Atheist, Cynic, 90s death, like that's only a reference point. No one really sounds like these guys. They're one of the metal bands today where as soon as I hear them, like, that's Stargazer. They're totally unique. They got their own sound. They've had their own sound for years now. And this, I don't know if I want to say this is their best album, but it's definitely one of their best. It's really high up there. But they've never done anything bad. So if you're in any of that stuff sounds interesting to you, you like Cynic, you like maybe some of the stuff Gorguts was doing a little later on in Obscura, when Gorguts kind of got out there a little weird, Atheist, any of that stuff. If you're not familiar with Stargazer, that's like going to be your new favorite band. These guys are phenomenal. This came out in February, and it's definitely the new album this year I've listened to the most. It's good headphones music because it's very cerebral. It's very easy to get taken away by it, but it's also intense too. It doesn't lack for intensity as death metal. So it's got that violence and that speed and, aggression to it too. And it threads the needle on that, which is not easy to do, or it's like you can go to this very soft ethereal part and then go into a straight up blast beats and then back. And it doesn't seem weird or awkward at all. Like songwriting is phenomenal.
They don't do any rainbow covers?
No, it's
Okay.
they don't go into that realm. No, there's no rainbow. But yeah, you would. I mean, I could recommend these guys to anybody because I think almost all you guys would be into it. If not for the instrumental ability, it's pretty catchy stuff too. It's not like out there like crazy death metal. It's very catchy.
I find it interesting that that's the name of a death metal. Like Stargazer to me, if I just saw that in a rack and not knowing what that was, I would think it would be more like of a
Power metal
or
Yeah.
traditional metal.
So this artwork, it's the guy that did I forget the guy's name, but he also did artwork for Ghost, for Destroyer 666. So he's done
okay.
before. It's a Polish name, and I don't want to butcher it, but
Mhm.
some of their earlier albums, you look at the art, and it doesn't look like death metal at all.
I'm not even talking about the art. I'm just going by the name.
The name? Yeah, it's not really a death metal name, but
Not for sure. No.
they're a death
It's
metal
definitely
band,
not.
but they don't sound like any other death metal band. Like they're very unique. It's just I'd say just check them out. It's their albums are pretty compact. I say prog, but they're not long songs. They keep everything in like 4 or 5 minutes. Just great songwriting. So I love these guys.
But Ryan, knowing that you say Cynic, and Sean Malone was the bass player in Cynic, who was amazing and has some amazing solo work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get it. So that would make me go check them out, just because you're talking about the bass player.
Cynic's great.
I can tell you what though, this guy Damon Good, he's on that level. He's just as good. He is a phenomenal bass player. It's kind of a mystery why he's not well known. I mean, the band's pretty obscure. They're on little labels. I get that, but you hear this guy play, and you're like, he's not when you think of a normal metal bass player, like kind of follow the guitars,
right,
being simple, anchor the low end. This dude's off doing, he could play jazz, prog rock, anything. So
which is back to Cynic. That's what Sean Malone does is the jazzy kind of thing. So yeah, that right there, that's what brought me in. That would make me check them out, no doubt, just from that right there.
It's definitely that level of band too. They should be a lot bigger, but they like to they're on little labels and stuff, and that's how they like it. That's how they want to go about their business. But it's definitely
for sure.
This is So the album is called Psychic Secretions, and I'd say I'm comfortable saying is the best album of the year for me. It is fucking phenomenal. So, and the songwriting is really good, which is, the right. I mean, death metal, I love it, but I mean, be honest, a lot of death metal albums, it's the same song 10 times in a row. I'm not going to deny that. Even the ones I like are like that. But these guys, if there's 8 songs on an album, they are 8 unique, independent songs. They're very good at writing really kind of like, standout tracks, which is tough to do in that genre. So, I'm going with Stargazer.
You've enticed me, man. That's all you had to say. Bass playing, that's interesting.
They're a great band.
You said something which rings true for me a lot. When you're doing this sort of exercise, you take a look back on the year and you say, all right, well, what was the album that I listened to the most during the year? Maybe not even the album that you rated higher than other ones, but something. It's like, what was the one that really resonated with you and you listen to over and over and over again throughout the year, and then you look back and you're like, yeah, that album really impressed me, and I'll still be listening to this 3 months from now. And no disrespect to John Corabi, because he did some pretty damn good albums with this band, but Glenn Hughes in the Dead Daisies is just as magical as I think we thought it was going to be. And Butch mentioned Resonate, which was a great solo album for Glenn, perhaps his best. You look at all those Black Country Communion albums, and they're all great. And what does this guy do that isn't fantastic? It's hard to say.
Damn.
Yeah, he's just and this album is heavy. It's it's hard rock with a bluesy slant to it, but it's pretty damn heavy. Doug's guitar playing is great. Glenn's bass playing is great. The whole band sounds great, but he sounds amazing. And
yes, he does.
Yeah, the guy is like, you got like him and Paul Rogers, and they're both like 70. Paul is even older, I think.
Yeah.
And these guys are just putting younger dudes to shame.
Oh yeah.
And I love it.
And Glenn should be dead. I mean, what this guy went through throughout the late 70s and all throughout the 80s, and he's back better than ever. And
an ageless wonder.
Absolutely.
Wonder. And but it comes down to the songs, and it's just like every song on here is just so good and cranking. And this has become like his band now, and I'm okay with that. He was looking for his next great band. He wanted Black Country Communion to be that, but Joe Bonamassa is just too busy with his own solo career, and this might be it. And based on this album, I'm okay with that. I still want to hear Black Country Communion albums, but if this is going to be his full-time gig going forward, I'm okay with that. So
absolutely.
There you go. That's my number one. And we are almost at 2 hours. So amazingly enough, I thought we would get done in an hour, but I think we're all so passionate we want to talk about these albums. It's
we didn't. I didn't even get to do an honorable mention.
But you know what? There was only a couple of records that we actually, between the 4 of us, There was only a couple of records that we actually liked the same. So
Overlap. Yeah, there was not a lot of overlap. Which
no,
is cool.
not at all.
Yeah, right. Dead Daisies, Halloween, Maiden, Toddler Tory. Anything
Yep.
else?
That's it. I think that's it.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Exodus it was in my top 20.
Yeah, I
That's-
mean, I think the
Yeah.
Exodus record we could all say is an honorable mention. That record's tremendous.
Jess and the Ancient Ones.
What was that one?
This is Jess and the Ancient Ones.
Jess and the
I have no
Angels.
idea what that is.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
Psychedelic.
It's like Lucifer. It's that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Hate from Poland. Lucifer is in my pile too, and the new Swallow the Sun was in there too. But
There's some good stuff this year.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm trying to think what else.
And next year is going to be scary because I already know but like I said earlier, 2 records in my top 10 I already expected to be like vying for number 1. Next year, I already know the 2 albums that are vying for number 1 already. So
I think I do too.
and one of them is a friend, and it's been it's probably been my favorite metal band since the late 90s. And the godfathers of a certain genre of metal, and their new record's coming out in April. So I think that will probably be my number 1. But
Sugar.
I didn't say that.
I said it.
And,
I do want to give a shout out to the new UDO album, Game Over, which I think is killer. And I never thought I'd say this, but I think it's way better than the new Accept album. And I like the new Accept album.
Yes.
UDO, I think, is really, really good. And I really like the new Alcatraz album quite a bit.
I haven't listened to that.
It's,
I haven't
you know what, Butch?
Yet.
I was skeptical because I'm like, man, Alcatraz without Graham Bonnet, but it's really good.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's really good.
I am not a Doogie White fan. I don't. He just kind of annoys me.
Yeah, he sounds great on the album.
Does he really? I
Joe
will listen
Stump
to it.
is just ripping it up on this album.
Joe Stump is Joe Stump for sure.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I dig it.
I'll listen to it. I have not listened to a note.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
Oh, that's.
I got one honorable mention.
Carcass.
They changed their name, but I don't give a fuck. It's the same band. Absu, the new Absu album. Well, now it's
I've heard of
EPS,
that.
so Absu, but it's the same band to me. So it's still Proscriptor.
That's a pretty cool cover.
Yeah, it's really good. It's the same artist, I believe, as the Stargazer, unless I'm full of shit, which I might be. But, on top of my head, I think it is the same.
He
guy.
calls himself out halfway through it.
Someone will correct me if I don't, so I'll just put it out there. Yeah, this is it sounds like Absu, so it's old school black thrash with one of the best drummers in the game. And
Yes.
stop looking at my hands. And
Look, he's back.
Really
Very
good.
evil puppy dogs.
Yeah. Well, if I'm listening to it, he's listening to it. So
There you go.
He's washing your arm, and maybe you should take a shower.
I'll get it right on that.
I think
There you go.
2022 is going to be a good year for metal.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
Got the
so.
new Amorphous coming out, the new Immolation coming
New
out.
Voivod.
And Prague.
New Voivod. Yeah, a lot of prog stuff coming out next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Voivod song.
Porcupine. So
great.
So Ryan already said who the metal band was that I expect, but the Porcupine Tree record I expect to be almost unbeatable.
Yeah, that's everybody's looking forward to that. Got new Jethro Tull next year. So yeah, it's
Nice.
Yeah. So
It's gonna
cool.
be some good shit.
Lots to look forward to. So
Yep.
we'll see everybody once again this time next year, and we'll see how the year turns out. But we'll also see you the same time next week. So tune in then for more shenanigans here on the Hudson Valley Squares. I want to thank Butch and Ryan and Steve for coming with their list today, and visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube
All the damn time.
So for Butch Jones, Steve Keeler, and Ryan Scow, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching us all throughout the year, helping make the Hudson Valley Squares the #1 show on Sea of Tranquility.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Loads of fun, and we'll be back with more next week, because next week it'll be 2022.
Next year, exactly. Happy New Year.
That's right.
See, I ain't coming back here till next fucking year, man.
There you go, Steve. We don't want
Wait,
Not till next year. I had enough.
He's a rebel.
So till then, take care, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.